Thank you for joining the ASQ Requirements and Developmental Screening Plan of Action tutorial. The purpose of the tutorial is to assist in strengthening the knowledge and importance of the ASQ questionnaire screening and to assist in creating an action plan to ensure correct procedures of facilitation and submission are within the school readiness contractual deadlines, and also to share best practice strategies that will assist you in meeting those deliverables. Anyone who works with young children can play an important role in the early identification of developmental delays. Studies have shown that the earlier a delay is recognized and intervention is begun, the better the child's chance of substantial improvements. Developmental screening is one of the best things you can do to ensure a child's success in school and in life. Identification is essential for intervention. Also, school readiness providers are contractually obligated to complete developmental screenings on children receiving school readiness funding, and failure to do so could result in termination of a school readiness contract. Who is required to have an ASQ3 and ASQ SE? All children receiving school readiness funding between the ages of 6 weeks and 60 months must have an initial ASQ3 and ASQ SE completed within 45 days of their enrollment with the Early Learning Coalition. This means that the child must have a screening completed when they are enrolled into school readiness, not into the center. If there's a break in service, children must receive an ASQ3 and ASQ SE screening within 45 days of their subsequent enrollment with the Early Learning Coalition. Also, an annual ASQ3 and ASQ SE must be completed at redetermination within 45 days. The only exception to this would be if the parent or a guardian has a parent option to decline screening on file. However, we do encourage you to continue to monitor your children's developmental progress, and if they have any concerns, to fill out an inclusion request. The Developmental Screening Plan of Action is a resource to help ensure correct procedures of facilitation and submission are within the school readiness contractual deadlines. It is also used to share best practice strategies and to evaluate what works or doesn't work for your center and staff. Today we will be reviewing some sample strategies for completing and submitting the ASQ3s and reviewing how to fill in the Developmental Screening Plan of Action form. We are asking for this form to be completed and uploaded into your ShareFile ASQ folder or emailed to Tina Robertson at trobertson@seminole-earlylearning.org. The first sample given on the Developmental Screening Plan of Action is for the ASQ3 completion within 45 days of enrollment in school readiness. The sample strategy that is given for completion in a timely manner is to check the incomplete queue in your provider portal for the first date of enrollment and then add an alert to your calendar. The next item on the form is People Responsible. In this space, you will fill in who's responsible for the completion and submission of the developmental screenings within 45 days of enrollment. This may be the director and assistant director, specific staff members assigned to assist with ASQs, or maybe the teachers are responsible for completing the questionnaires, but the administrative staff are responsible for uploading them into the provider portal. We ask that there are at least 2 staff members who are familiar and responsible for meeting these deliverables. Next, what resources are you using to meet these requirements? For the sample given, the resources used will be the provider portal and an Outlook calendar. Next, what is the timeline for successful completion? Will you have the child's screening completed within the first week of attendance at your center? This will look different for each center as you put into place your policies and procedures. Last, how will you measure the success for completion of the 45-day ASQ3? Are the 45-day ASQ3 requirements and contractual deadlines being met? How will you ensure that these are being met? One example for this may be to create an Excel spreadsheet with dates of when each screening was completed. The next sample given on the Developmental Screening Plan of Action is for the ASQ3 and ASQ SE completion and submission annually at redetermination. The ASQ3 and ASQ SE screenings need to be completed within 45 days of redetermination. The sample strategy given for the completion in a timely manner is to check the incomplete queue in your provider portal for children due for annual redetermination screenings and add an alert to your calendar. And again, who are the people responsible for completing and submitting the annual redetermination screenings? What resources are you using to meet these requirements? What is your timeline for successful completion? And how are you measuring your success to meet these deliverables? What are summary result letters? All children who are screened will receive a summary result letter. These are letters that include results from developmentally appropriate questions about the child's communication, gross motor, fine motor, problem solving, and personal social skills that were on the Ages and Stages questionnaire. Summary result letters will be uploaded into your ASQ folder in the Seminole Share file, and providers are responsible to have the parent or a guardian of the child sign and date that they have received the child's results letter and the developmentally appropriate activities. The developmentally appropriate activities can also be found in the ASQ folder in Seminole Share file under ASQ Activities. The last item on the Developmental Screening Plan of Action form is for the contractual requirements of the parent or guardian obtaining the ASQ summary result letter and the ASQ activities. The sample given on the Developmental Screening Plan of Action for the summary result letter signature and activities is to put a note on the child's sign in and out sheet letting the parent know that they have a summary result letter to sign. And again, who are the people responsible for receiving the signature and submitting the ASQ summary result letters back into the Share file ASQ folder? What resources are you using to meet these requirements? What is your timeline for successful completion? And how are you measuring your success to meet these deliverables? Summary result letter tips. If you receive a summary result letter for a child who no longer attends, please add a screening note of the date that the child was terminated in the provider portal and on the summary result letter and upload it back into the ASQ folder and the Seminole Share file for our records. If a child never attended your center, write "child never attended" on the summary result letter and upload it back to the Seminole Share file for our records. It's best practice to keep the original copy of the signed summary result letter and the child's folder at your center for your records. Please note that failure to submit required screenings and summary result letters may result in a non-compliance or termination of the school readiness contract. If you have any questions or need assistance with completing the Developmental Screening Plan of Action, please contact Tina Robertson at trobertson@seminoleearlylearning.org.